So it's been a while since I have done a garden update for you guys, and the reason for this is because we had an extremely harsh summer where the garden did not really look pretty. It looked rugged. It looked rugged. But now that we are in early fall and things have cooled down and the weather has become quite moderate, things are growing very, very lusciously. So as you can see here, got a bed full of green. These are all rutabagas. Well, most of these are rutabagas. Some of these are Korean cabbages. In the middle here is a row of Korean cabbages. You can see the leaf differences here. That's a Korean cabbage. And they got a row of them going down here. Korean cabbages are extremely reliable. Not Korean cabbage, sorry, Korean radishes. These are Korean radishes. Korean radishes are extremely reliable. They're very durable. They grow very fast, and their seeds germinate extremely efficiently. And they grow very quickly. Rutabagas, they are distinguished by their flat leaves here. The rutabagas take longer to grow, but from what I understand, their roots have a decent calorie count, more so than turnips. So that's why I decided to grow rutabagas this year. Plus, I saw a video of Gordon Ramsay making a nice creamy blitzed rutabaga soup, and it looked very good, so I'm going to try that. And then here you have some sporadically planted arugulas, which I planted last year actually, and they survived the summer. They just came back, so they did pretty well. Arugulas are a very reliable leafy green, plus they taste really good. Here is a tree, and this is a Chinese date, also known as a jujube tree, and it actually did pretty well this year. I got a decent amount of dates or jujube fruit. By decent, I mean I got the largest yield I've had so far since I planted this tree back in, I want to say 2022. I planted this tree, and I got about maybe over a dozen fruit on it. So next year, God willing, it'll give me more fruit, and it'll just continue to increase every year. Here is a bed of arugulas. I did not plant any of these. Last year, I planted arugula in this bed, let it go to seed, let the seeds drop, and the seeds just spread. And yeah, they just covered the whole bed. So these are all completely voluntary arugulas. I've been eating out of this bed here and there. Been making arugula pesto. I wasn't eating out of this bed early on in the season because there was still a lot of insect bites on it because it was still relatively warm. It's still relatively warm, but not as warm as then. So the bug bites have lessened. When it was warmer, there were too many bug bites, and I didn't want to eat them, so I would just feed the holed up arugula leaves to my chickens. They enjoyed them, but now the leaves are looking much better on these arugulas. They're looking much better, and they taste very good, very nutty, somewhat spicy flavor. Here's another bed that I have yet to clear out. The reason why I haven't cleared out this bed is because there's a habanero plant, and there's a decent amount of fruit on the habanero plant. And so I'm waiting for these habaneros to turn orange so I can ferment them. I might just harvest them when they're green and make a green fermented salsa. I don't know. We'll see how the weather goes. If it starts to cool down more, then I'll just harvest them when they're green, or a mix between green and orange. Here's a nice little rose plant. Not bad, not bad. We have some Italian dandelions here. I've been eating these and also feeding them to the chickens, making salads. Same thing here. Beautiful red Italian dandelion. And they go very good with a honey mustard vinaigrette. The bitterness marries well with the sweetness. Here I have a bed mainly of Korean radishes. Korean radishes are the smaller plants, and I planted these about 2 weeks ago, and they're growing fairly fast, fairly quickly. Have some red Russian kale here, and some dandelion, which planted itself because some dandelions went to seed. So this dandelion here came out by itself. I planted these 2 dandelions, or these 3 or 4 dandelions actually, last year. I planted this one, pretty certain I planted this one last year as well. These are all Korean radishes. These will grow fairly quickly. This is a collard green that survived our harsh summer. And the reason why it survived is because I put a sunshade, a sun cloth over it. So it was able to survive. It didn't look great during the summer, but it was able to survive. And now that the temperature has dropped a little bit, it's actually looking pretty good. It's thriving. Here, got a whole row of Korean radishes. And these are growing very well. You can see the progress here. Not bad at all. Let's put the camera on focus here. There we go. Not bad. They grow very quickly. Well, actually, my mistake. This is not a Korean radish. This is, I think it's similar to a Korean radish. It's known as a white icicle, but it looks and tastes and grows in a way that's pretty much like Korean radish. Some of these are Korean radishes, though. The sun is blurring up the view. You would think with all these new cell phones that come out, they would give you a camera that stays on focus, but nah. Here's a bed of some habaneros. These habaneros are looking really well. They were really struggling during the summer. They weren't really producing anything during the summer because it was so hot, but now that the temperature has dropped, you can see all these, good grief, these camera, there we go. You can see the beautiful fruit on the habanero, and here I planted around the habaneros nice lettuces, and this is salad greens, which I have been eating out of. Nice salad greens, delicate tender salad. Here's another habanero, and you can see the fruit is looking pretty good. Nice fruit production on here. Here is a Brazilian guayaba, which has yet to produce a fruit. I planted it 2 years ago. We'll see how it does. Here is Korean radish. You can see, oh, it hasn't produced big enough fruits yet. This is a bed filled with kale that got consumed by caterpillars. So I put a netting over it, and I've been feeding the hold up leaves to my chickens, which they don't mind because they get some protein out of it. There's caterpillars crawling on them, moth caterpillars, not butterflies. I would never kill moth. I would never kill caterpillar, butterfly caterpillars, but moth caterpillars, yeah, kill those bastards. And here's a bok choy plant that I planted earlier, and it's doing really well. Isn't there a bok choy behind it? Here's a horseradish, some basil from the summer. I left it here so I can take its seed. It's produced seed already, so I'll have to take the seed from it, or I could just pull it off and just, I don't know, throw it on the earth. Here's some more peppers. I forgot the name of these peppers. I think it's something like lunchbox peppers or something like that. These, if you eat them when they're red, oh my goodness, these things are freaking hot. This one here is turning red. This one here is red. These are ridiculously hot. I would say they're almost just as hot as habaneros, if not more hot. Sometimes I've eaten these and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is hotter than a habanero. But it really burns your mouth. Then I planted collard greens around the peppers. So when the temperatures drop and I remove these pepper plants, we'll see. We'll see how it goes with the collard greens. Planted parsley here. These are parsley plants from last year. It was too hot for them to grow, so they just went dormant. Now that it's cooled down, they have awakened from their slumber. I need to reseed this bed. I have not. Well, I did put some seeds in there, but they didn't really grow very well because it was too hot. I planted too soon. But I'll just have to reseed. It's no big deal. Here's some eggplants. There's a bug right there. Kill this fucker. Get rid of you. I just killed the bug. This is an eggplant. It did really well in the spring. Then when the summers became very harsh, production dropped a lot. It still produced, but not as much as I wanted because it was 96 degrees, 93 degrees, 94. I don't know about, yeah, maybe it was 96 a few times. I don't know, but it was above the 90s every single day, consistently, consecutively. And these eggplants just had a lot of difficulty producing. Now that the temperatures have dropped, the eggplant production has gone back up, and you can see here beautiful flowers on the plant, and you can see eggplants. There's one eggplant, there's another eggplant right here, and then over here you can see another one. So there's about 4 or 5 eggplants on this plant, and there's eggplants producing on all these other plants. And then around the eggplants, I have planted beets. Beautiful beets. I have been not weeding, but I've been spacing out these beet plants and eating the plants that I pull out. Over here, we have a Tabasco plant. The Tabasco plant surprisingly did very well, even in the middle of the harsh summer. So Tabasco is something that I'm going to grow again because it does so well for excessive summers. And as you can see, there are literally hundreds of Tabasco peppers. And I did one yield when the summer ended. I pulled all the red peppers off. There was pretty much nothing but red peppers on this plant for a while. And I pulled all the red peppers out and I made some Tabasco sauce, which I've been eating. And then it just produced, all of a sudden the plant just exploded with a new yield of peppers. And there has to be hundreds of them on this plant. It is amazing. And to make the soil better, I added, once the summer pretty much ended and the temperatures dropped, I added cow manure, and I added what they call bone meal, which is very rich in phosphorus, which is necessary for thriving root systems, which give you a better yield. And you can buy bone meal in any gardening store. You can go get it at Home Depot or Lowe's if you're living in the United States. If you're living in Europe, I have no idea. You go to your nursery, get some bone meal. Grounded up fish bones is what bone meal is. It's very rich in phosphorus, which is necessary for healthy plants. I also put bone meal in the soil for these beets. So because bone meal leads to healthier root systems, that means you're going to get better beets in the soil. So a lot of beets here. And then on the other side, I have another Chinese date here. This is a jujube. I got about 4 fruits out of this one. And the jujubes on this tree are bigger because it's a Chinese variety, which, you know, jujubes originally come from China. So it's only expected that someone will get a tree from the Chinese variety. But I do have mainly Western jujubes, or really just American varieties, because the American varieties, I think, produce better for our climate, from what I understand and from what I have seen. But I did get 2 Chinese varieties. This is one of them. And I did get about 4 fruit on this one. The fruit weren't as sweet. Maybe I picked them too early. They had a more apple-like flavor. But they were okay, and they're bigger. The Chinese variety is bigger. Here is more beets, and this is all beets. All these little beet plants. I pulled out a bunch of weeds around them yesterday, so they had too many weeds around them, so I pulled them out. And I dug around the soil to soften the soil. That's going to help the plants out. Go through the soil more. And there's actually another Tabasco plant in front. So this is actually 2 Tabasco plants planted about, I want to say 2 feet apart. And you can see on that plant, I mean, it's just everywhere. The damn things. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, Tabascos grow really well. If you live in a harsh, hot climate, I mean, look at this. Beautiful. And they taste really good. I mean, they are spicy, but hey, that's the whole point, right? And they have a very good flavor. This is all beets here. I planted more beets here. They're struggling a little bit because they're getting shaded out by the pepper plants. And then I planted another pepper plant about 1.5 feet away from these Tabascos. And this is, I think this is a poblano. It looks like a poblano. Yeah, I think it's a poblano. And you can see the eggplants growing on this thing. Oh yeah, there's another eggplant. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful. Anyway, yeah, you guys saw my garden. You guys just saw some theology. God bless.